Hello, this is Dr. Grande. Today I will analyze Prince Harry's May 2025 interview with the BBC. First, I'll look at the background of this case, move to a summary of the interview, then offer my analysis. Prince Harry, Duke of Sussex, was born on September 15, 1984. He is the younger son of King Charles III and Diana, Princess of Wales. Diana was killed in a motor vehicle collision in Paris in August 1997. Harry has an older brother, Prince William, who was born in 1982. Prince William is the heir apparent to the British throne. William is married to Catherine, Princess of Wales. They have 3 children. This means that Prince Harry is the 5th in the line of succession to the British throne. His chances of becoming king are only slightly higher than being struck by lightning while buying a winning lottery ticket. In July 2016, Harry started a romantic relationship with an American actress named Meghan Markle. The couple married in May 2018. Meghan had a son named Archie in May 2019. In January 2020, Harry and Meghan announced they were stepping back as senior members of the British royal family. A few months later, they moved to the United States and eventually occupied a mansion in Montecito, California. In June 2021, Meghan had a daughter named Lilibet. Despite the dramatic exit from their lives as full-time members of the royal family, the couple has managed to earn a lot of money in their new environment. Harry and Meghan have engaged in many different money-making ventures, including a Netflix deal, which is estimated to be worth $100 million. This arrangement has resulted in 4 documentary series. In March 2025, Meghan released a cooking show on Netflix called With Love, Meghan. I don't know if her cooking would cause nausea, but hearing Meghan talk about cooking definitely does. I have a separate video about Meghan's television masterpiece. In addition to their business ventures, Harry and Meghan have spent a lot of time complaining about the British royal family. They have revealed details of alleged wrongdoings and portrayed themselves as victims. Harry implied that leaving the royal family was necessary for the health and safety of his family. Meghan accused the royal family of racism, failing to support her, and restricting her freedom. One area of concern, which has been mentioned frequently by Harry, is the loss of state-funded security. In January 2020, when Harry and Meghan split with the royal family, they lost their publicly funded police protection from the UK. Their protection is now on a case-by-case basis. For any given visit to the UK, the government could decide how much protection, if any, to provide to Harry and Meghan. In the summer of 2021, Harry offered to pay the UK for police protection. He wasn't asking the UK to pay the bill, but he did want access to official law enforcement officers instead of having to use private security. Police officers have capabilities that exceed those of private security guards, including access to intelligence about various risks and threats. The Royal and VIP Executive Committee, also known as REVEC, denied Harry's request. The ability to pay for police protection is not a right that private citizens in the UK possess. Granting this protection to Harry would set a bad precedent. In September 2021, Harry started a legal battle over his offer to pay for police protection. Not surprisingly, the court ruled that law enforcement officers in the UK could not be made available to private individuals, even if those individuals paid the government for the protection. Prince Harry appealed the decision, and his appeal was denied. In June 2024, he was given permission to challenge the High Court's decision. On May 2, 2025, a panel of 3 judges rejected Harry's appeal. The same day, Prince Harry gave an interview to the BBC. Here is a summary of this interview. Much of this is paraphrased, and I changed the order of some of the statements to make more sense. The interviewer mentioned how the court's decision did not go in Prince Harry's favor. Harry indicated the decision proved there was no way to win through the courts. The court's decision was simultaneously a surprise and not a surprise. As far as whether Harry's family could ever visit the UK, Harry said it was too soon to tell, but right now it was impossible for them to visit safely. Harry talked about how the only time he returns to the UK is for funerals and court appearances, with occasional visits for charities. He will continue to visit, but he will be visiting alone. Harry was sad that he could not show his children his homeland. Harry then talked about how, in 2020, Revec had him at the highest risk level, but then overnight moved him to the lowest risk level. The Risk Management Board reviews all the other members of the royal family at least once a year, but Harry had not been reviewed since stepping back as a senior member of the royal family. The board is supposed to consider all the facts and not be subject to interference or bias. Harry questioned the motive, implying that the British royal family was behind the decision. For example, he stated his desire for his father, King Charles III, to let the experts do their jobs. Harry was referring to the experts who were evaluating the risk. He indicated that he uncovered his worst fear and declared that the other side won by making him unsafe. To support his argument for police protection, Harry mentioned how there were other people who received protection for life after leaving a career of public service. These people had chosen to serve the public, but Harry was born into public service. He never had a choice about being high profile. His time of service lasted for 35 years and included spending time in the military. No matter what Harry does, he will never be treated as a private citizen. The interviewer asked Harry why taxpayers should provide police protection when Harry has access to private security. Harry suggested that private security is not as effective as the police. As I mentioned, the UK protects Harry on a case-by-case basis. Harry addressed this by stating the protection was an either-or proposition. He is supplied with protection when invited to the UK, but if he visited the UK for any other reason, he would only receive insufficient security. Harry then talked about how he believed he was singled out for the alleged mistreatment. The royal family was using security as leverage. Members of the royal family cannot choose a life separate from the family, or they will be left defenseless. Essentially, this policy has imprisoned them. King Charles III is not speaking to Harry due to the security issue, at least according to Harry. Due to his father having cancer, Harry wondered how long his father would be alive and said it would be nice to reconcile. Harry indicated that the main grievance he had with the British royal family was about safety, not only now, but years ago when he made the decision to step back from the royal family. This has been his complaint the entire time. Harry implied that some people want him dead, but he would not say who. Furthermore, the royal family has signaled to every country in the world not to protect Harry. It was hard for Harry to forgive those who placed him in harm's way. He was devastated by the people behind the decision to deny him security. Now moving to my analysis. For a long time, both Harry and Meghan have been complaining about the royal family and have made numerous accusations. For example, the British royal family engaged in racist behavior when, prior to Archie's birth, they expressed concerns over how dark his skin color might be. They failed to protect Meghan from relentless media coverage, like they would not counter false or damaging stories about her. And Meghan was denied mental health treatment when she had dark thoughts. Prince Harry's interview with the BBC represents a shift in his tactics. Now he is trying to make it seem like, this entire time, his main concern was safety. He tied his current concern about police protection to his original concern about how safe his family would be. In a sense, Harry is trying to consolidate all his complaints into one theme. It is difficult for people to argue against a man who wants to keep his family safe, which is why I believe Harry selected this particular argument. He knows that the safety issue is where he can obtain traction and sympathy. Many people don't care about the other concerns Harry introduced, or they don't believe he is telling the truth. Some of those concerns could really be attributed to miscommunication. They are not necessarily indicative of malice. On the topic of safety, however, Harry can make a more convincing argument. There is no doubt he was born into a life of public service. He did not ask to be famous. Also, there is no doubt that he has been denied the right to privately pay for police protection. Harry is working with assertions that can be proven and painting himself as a victim of the system that made him famous. He did not ask for fame. It was forced on him. Now the people who made him famous are refusing to protect him in a way that he prefers. I disagree with Harry's assertion that the UK owes him some type of special protection which would not be granted to an ordinary citizen. However, one could make a good argument that Harry is being somewhat reasonable. The problem for Harry is that he took his argument a step further. During his interview with the BBC, Harry implied that the royal family wants him dead. This is the larger and dramatic narrative that Harry is promoting. The gravamen of his complaint is supposedly the police protection issue. However, in reality, it's this conspiracy theory. His concern isn't just about insufficient security, rather he is being singled out for termination by the powerful and malicious British royal family. The family knows that without protection, there is a pronounced risk that some bad actor will attack Harry or his family. According to Harry, the royal family even signaled to the whole world to deny him protection. I find this particularly curious, as Harry cannot argue that he is owed protection except in the UK and other countries tied to the UK. There is no way he can reasonably demand protection in the United States, which is where he lives. Not surprisingly, Harry was not willing to mention any of the names of the people behind the alleged conspiracy. This seems to be a pattern with Harry. He makes a dramatic statement supported by little or no evidence and fails to identify who is responsible for the alleged wrongdoing. Why did Harry do this? There is no way to know for certain, but maybe he believes that this type of statement will cause the British royal family to offer him some type of concession. Like they are so afraid of Harry identifying the alleged perpetrator or perpetrators, they will negotiate with him to prevent it. He now has something over them which will bring them to their knees. This is a poor tactic, but maybe it's all Harry has left. He lost in the courts. Now he is trying to try his case in the media. His desperation is palpable. Harry is flailing about and using any possible method he can to get his way. Essentially, this interview with the BBC featured a temper tantrum on the part of Harry. As far as Harry's threats not to bring his family to the UK, maybe he believes that the citizens of this country will hear this and rise up in a rage. They will demand that the government give Harry the police protection he is requesting. If this is the case, Harry is overestimating public opinion of himself, and he is living in a fantasy world. Harry's claim that he is being targeted for termination is difficult to believe for a number of reasons, not the least of which is that he does not actually require police protection. There are a lot of famous people all over the world who are not protected by the state. Harry is exceptionally wealthy. He can afford excellent security. It may not be the security he wants, but private security can provide sufficient protection. The argument that the police can provide better protection because they have access to intelligence is probably one that resonates for Harry personally. Considering that Harry lives with Meghan, he is familiar with the dangers introduced by a lack of access to intelligence. This may cause people to feel sorry for Harry, but it doesn't give him the right to taxpayer-funded protection. This brings me to my final question. What do I think happened in this case? This is just a theory, my opinion. For many years now, Harry has been complaining. He complains during interviews. He complained in his book. Harry complains all the time. At the core of his complaints is this idea that Harry wants people to believe that he and Meghan are victims and the British royal family is evil. With his BBC interview, Harry just upped the ante. Now his grievances aren't just about racism and mental health, they are about his very existence. The lack of official police security could lead him to suffer the same fate as his mother, Diana, Princess of Wales. Harry knows that her death greatly affected the citizens of Britain. Therefore, safety is an issue where he can get traction. Essentially, Harry is saying, remember how much you miss Diana? If something happens to me, you will relive that pain. I doubt that Harry really cares about getting police protection. He has adequate private security, the best that his money can buy. This is nothing more than a guilt trip, another desperate tactic to focus attention on himself and play the victim. Harry gave up life as a full-time member of the royal family, which is his right. This decision came with benefits and consequences. Harry has maximized the benefits, but he does not want to pay the consequences. He wants everything, the status of a royal with the freedom of a private citizen. The unending litany of complaints has failed to meet his objective. All Harry has done is prove that he has a lack of insight. He may not exactly be a royal anymore in the traditional sense, but it's not all bad news, because Harry is still a royal pain. This is a title he will never need to surrender. Not unlike Meghan's cooking show, a recipe for disaster constantly serving up dishes that no one asked for. Those are my thoughts on Prince Harry's BBC interview. Thank you so much for watching. I'll talk to you soon.